I grew up in the Soviet Union. And I like to say, you know, I'm from, or I grew up in a country that doesn't exist anymore. So here, I don't know if I can show you with a cursor, but the pink you see here is Russia, and all these other little countries in gray and green are former Soviet republics. So the whole thing was the Soviet Union, and I was born in 1964, and I love to travel. And so I visited quite a few of these places, which are now countries, but at the time were republics of the Soviet Union. A lot of what my thinking was it was about sort of injustices in the world, and how some of the things that I saw, I disagreed with, and I wanted to speak out against, but I didn't know how to do that. You know, I was kind of stuck in this, I was sort of an activist stuck in a landscape painter's body, and I couldn't break out, you know. So today at my talk, I'm gonna hopefully ask myself some questions, or present questions that I have asked myself, and possibly it'd be great if you could think about these questions as well. So, does art have to stay in a frame? You know, that's one of the things that at some point I had to grapple with. And I was really lucky in that I was a kind of a craftsman. I was a carpenter and a house painter, and I painted walls, and I changed environments, and I put in windows and built porches and things of that nature to put myself through art school. And that got a little more interesting for me than painting and putting something in a frame. And when I went to graduate school, I realized that I could do that thing, be a carpenter, but do it for arts purposes. So I started getting into installation art. So I could make environments that would send you through like a maze or something, or allow you to climb into a building through some kind of tunnel or something like that. And that got more interesting for me, like I came out of that frame, okay? Some of the other things I was interested in is activism, because, you know, now we're talking about art as relationships. So this is an action in 1930 by quite a large group of Indian people, and Gandhi was their leader. And this is sort of the culmination of the Salt March. The British Empire colonized India and put a tax on salt. So no Indian person could pick up salt, let's say, from the ocean side, but had to purchase it from the British authorities. And since everybody needs salt to live, Gandhi thought that was a very unfair thing, and so did a lot of other people. So they made this 260-some mile march to the sea, and he made this one act. He picked up a small piece of salt, and that was breaking the law. That was breaking the law of the British Empire. And he got arrested for it and went to jail for it. But it started something that led to the independence of India. You know, it was a part of a movement, part of an activist gesture. But it was a very creative act. You know, how do we make ourselves heard? So we wanted to play with this idea of removing art. So we created a task force. It was called the Art Removal Task Force. And so we remove art pretty much anywhere we go, you know, and we're commissioned to remove art. In this case, this is in Bulgaria. We're removing a Soviet monument. We've also removed art on the streets of Willimantic, and we removed a master's student graduate show in New York City as well. So if you ever need any art removed, we will be happy to come to your place and you know, take care of it. So this is the task force, and basically our motto is let us solve your thinking, feeling problems. You know, like if art's making you think too much or making you feel something and you don't like that feeling, we can take care of that. So this was in Bulgaria, and this, believe it or not, as I walked around, I went to this park, and there was this headless monument that was covered with graffiti, and I asked people around, who was this a monument to? And so what I learned was it was a monument to the former communist dictator of that country. I believe his name was Dimitrov. He was sort of early communist leader of this country. And Bulgaria is a fairly poor country, so a lot of things might go missing if they're worth money, like bronze. So I think what might have happened, either he was removed because of this, it's not a communist country anymore, and people there might resent that this guy ruled the country with an iron fist, possibly. But anyway, his head was missing there. So I thought, well, what could we do? And I work with students a lot, so I got together with students at the academy where I was, and we decided to make it a monument. So I thought, well, why not make it a monument to the people? So we decided to clean it up, and we worked very hard at cleaning it up. And so we continued our work, and we created this staircase, and laid some flowers, cleaned up the monument, and put a plaque saying "Monument to the Bulgarian People." And then we also put a thing on Google Maps where you could find this monument, travel to it, take a photograph, and then other people could see photographs of yourself. So a lot of people came by and did these sort of temporal monuments, okay, and then had photo opportunities. So I saw this puddle, and I wound up, it was in the middle of the street in Sofia. And the puddle was so big, it felt like a lake. And there were all these cars driving through the puddle. So one day I just showed up and I started fishing in the puddle. And it was ridiculous, you know, that's like a pathetic act. This guy is fishing in a puddle for what purpose? He's not gonna catch any fish. He might catch like a tire in there or something. You know, but at the same time, it was interesting. People got really into it. People that were driving through the puddle were like, hey, is anything biting? You know, what kind of fish are you getting? Do you need any help fishing? You know, and as I learned, like the Bulgarian people were really into fishing, you know. So I kept lying to them. I said, yeah, I'm catching som, this type of fish. It's a catfish. It's like a bottom-feeding type of fish. And that's, I guess, what I saw people doing in Bulgaria, is like being bottom feeders, like trying to eke out a living from the land.